Hi first graders, Miss Jobst here again, and for math today we are going to be working on using doubles with subtraction. Last week we reviewed working on doubles by adding two equal parts together to get our whole number. So this week we're going to be using those doubles but with subtraction. So for example, we're going to take that whole number and we're going to break it into two parts, or we're going to take a part away, and then we will end up with another part that is an equal amount. Let me show you an example. When working with doubles, I have this part whole card here, as you can see. So we talked about one part being 2 and another part being 2. So 2 and 2, and that makes our whole number 4. I could also show you using that double by using a 10 frame. You can see I already have 2 cubes on my 10 frame. If I add 2 more cubes, then I have 4. Another way that I can show the double 2 plus 2 equals 4 is our rec and rec. So I can slide over 2, and I can slide over 2 more. So I have 2 equal parts, 2 parts that are the same, and it still is 4. So the question is, how can I use that double to be thinking about halves, or taking a whole number and putting it into 2 equal groups? Well, I can say that 4, and if I take away my 2, I'm still left with 2, that same amount of my other group. If I look at my 10 frame, I have 4 cubes on my 10 frame. If I take half of those cubes away, or I take 2 cubes away, then I should be left with 2 cubes. That's the same amount that I took away. Same thing if I look at my part whole card. You can see my whole number is 4. If I take away part of that whole number, 2, then my missing part should also be 2. When we talk about halves, it means that I have 2 equal groups, and when I put them together, I have my whole number, 4. Okay, let me show you another example. If I have the number, let's see, if I have the number 8, okay, sometimes it's hard to see it on the 10 frame, but when I have the number 8, if I wanted to make 2 equal groups, here I have 5 and 3, but if I move this one on the 10 frame, now I have 2 equal groups. I have 4 and 4. So if I know 4 plus 4 equals 8, then I know that 8, take away half of them, or take away 4, leaves me with 4 cubes. Let's use our rec and rec to show this too. So if I have 8, here you can see I have my 5 red and my 3 white. Or to see it a little bit easier on the rec and rec, that means I could take those 4 away. So I have 4 red, and then I'm going to bring 4 over on the bottom, right? 4 plus 4 equals 8. So if I have my whole number 8 and I want to take away half, or I take away 4, if I take away that part, then I'm left with 4 still on my rec and rec. They have to be 2 equal parts. Another important way to show this is also using it in a number sentence. So before we talked about that 2 plus 2 equals 4. And then when we started with 4, our whole number, and we take away half, or we take away 2, we should be left with 2 like we said before. We can also do that same thing with our number 8, our whole number 8. So we started with 4, and 4 equals 8. So if we start with our whole number 8 and we take away that part, we should be left with another equal part of 4, which we did. Let me show that on the rec and rec again. So if we had 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom, we started with 8. If I take away that 4, then I'm left with 4. The examples I used before were using doubles with subtraction up to 10, but what do I do about larger numbers? For example, doubles up to 20. Here I'm going to start with the double to 20, which we know would be 10 cubes here and 10 cubes here, makes 20. If I show that on the rec and rec, I have 10 and 10 make 20. So if I have 20 and I want to take away a part, or I take away half, then I am left with 10. Same thing with my 10 frames. I have 20 cubes. If I take away half, or I take away 10, then I'm left with 10 cubes. Let's try a different one. If I have 16 cubes, okay, remember when we talked about 2 equal parts? I have 16 cubes. So in order to make these equal on my 10 frame, or 2 equal groups, I'm going to have to do some moving. So I'm going to move this one over and take that one away too. And now I should have 16, because I have 8 and 8 make 16. Let me write that in a number sentence for you. 8 plus 8 equals 16. I could show that on my Rec and Rec too. If I have 5 red and 3 white, that's going to make my 8, and 8 more on the bottom. That gives me 16 as my whole number. Okay, if I start with 16 as my whole number and I want to take away a part, or take away half, that means I should be able to take away 8. And if I take away 8 cubes, and I take away 8, or I take away 8 on my Rec and Rec, then I'm left with 8 still on my 10 frame and 8 still on my Rec and Rec. So using tools like the Rec and Rec, or cubes, or anything at your house that you are using to help you count, is a good way to help you with those larger numbers that maybe if you don't quite know those higher doubles yet. Remember, it is important to think about how we can use addition to help us with subtraction. And now that we have reviewed how we can use doubles in both addition and subtraction, on the next few slides I have given you an opportunity to practice that in a story problem or a CGI problem. So you can take a look at that and try for yourself. And then on the very last slide, there is a link to an activity to help you practice your halves. It's called Halves Race, and it has some options on the last slide for you to download it or to create your own game board. So have fun practicing your doubles and halves, and I'll see you soon.